So today we're going to be looking at a scenario where France and England go to war in 2021. That's right, we're going to be having the 100 Years' War Part 2, and we're going to be having a lot of countries join in on different sides of different countries. If you enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really helps me out, and let's go ahead and get started. Also, it's time for Christmas, so I put up a Christmas tree. You're not really going to see it because of my chair, but that's fine, it's there. Anyway, the trigger of this war is going to be the UK declaring war on France. This is just to help France out, because if it was the other way around, then the UK would have a lot of allies. Now, obviously, there's not going to be any NATO or EU or UN in this scenario, just to make it more fair for each side. But here we have our sides. So the aggressor, which is the UK, is in red, and the defender, which is France, is in blue. The first country to join in on someone else's side is Ireland, joining in on France's side. This is probably a given, considering that the UK has Northern Ireland, and Ireland wants that back, and Ireland and France hold some sort of relation in real life. The next event to take place is the UK calling in a majority of the Commonwealth countries, which include Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The UK also calls in Portugal, one of their oldest allies, and France manages to get Germany to join in on their side. So now we can see this is a pretty even matchup now. We have the UK and Portugal, which are the powers on their side, and we have France and Germany, which are the powers on our respective side. Now, the big problem that we're all going to see here is the USA, and I will be giving them to a side. Does the USA side with Britain, or do they side with France, their oldest ally? Now, if this were to actually happen in real life, the USA would definitely be neutral, but I'm going to be giving them to the side of France in this scenario. And that is mostly because the UK is the aggressor. They can also see themselves getting land out of Canada, so it's kind of beneficial to help out France. So now we have the world superpower in on this war, meaning that a lot of other countries might follow suit. Going back over to Europe, we're actually going to be having a modern take into play here, and that is Greece joining in on France's side. Now, if you don't know, in real life, like maybe a month ago, France and Greece created a defensive pact together. So with that, we have Greece joining in on France's side, and just to even it out, we're going to be having Turkey joining in on the UK side. That would also technically make Cyprus join in on the blue side, and also Azerbaijan joining in on the red side. So this is slowly escalating. We haven't gotten to any fighting yet, but that's just because I'm choosing out the sides. Once we get the sides down, we'll start fighting. A couple more countries that might get involved is Israel joining in on the US side, and this is just a given considering that Israel and the US are good allies. Now, this would undoubtedly make a Middle Eastern war against Israel, but I don't really want to escalate it that much. I'm going to be adding 2 more major countries, but other than that, that's going to be it. So the Middle East will not be getting involved, even though Israel is at war. The last 2 countries getting involved are India and Pakistan. Now, how will these 2 countries get involved? Well, the US is allies with, well, sort of allies with both of them. And India was a UK colony, meaning that they're going to be joining in on the blue side, just despite the UK. And of course, we can't have an India without a Pakistan. So our sides have been made up. We can see that the red team is very, well, they're both spread across the world, but the blue team does have a kind of concentration in Europe, whereas the red team is more spaced out. There will be no nuclear bombs in this scenario for obvious reasons, and let's go ahead and start. Right away, we have the US making a push into British Columbia and into Ontario. Now, Canada is going to be serving as a distraction here, because the UK really can't defend Canada. It's screwed. So Canada will be a distraction while the UK kind of focuses on Ireland and France. The first European land gain is in Northern Ireland, with Ireland taking a little bit of land from the UK. Over in Greece, we have Turkey making a little bit of gains in the Greek panhandle, and on the Indian subcontinent, we have Pakistan making a little bit of gains in the south. Back over in America, we have the US capturing all of Vancouver Island and making an even bigger push into British Columbia. We also see continued gains in Ontario. Now, Canada is at a severe disadvantage here, 1 because their military isn't the biggest, and 2 because their capital is literally right there. So the US gathers a large army and crosses the border and takes Ottawa. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but there is a line that goes across Canada about right there, and pretty much all their population is below that line. So the US uses a rapid invasion technique and pretty much gains all of Canada's populated areas. The US manages to invade pretty much all of this from Canada until they finally surrender. Now, this was like really not a surprise to anybody. Realistically, Canada doesn't stand a chance against the US just because of their army size, and their population is too close to the US's border. So now we have a completely occupied Canada via the USA. But all of this didn't just happen at once. There's also been some progress going on in Europe, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Ireland managed to capture all of Northern Ireland. Both Greece and Cyprus are pretty much knocked out at this point, and Pakistan has made a little bit more progress in India. So taking a step back and taking a look at the world, our major fronts are in Ireland, Turkey, and in Pakistan. Speaking of Ireland, we have the UK making a landing in Southern Ireland and pushing up towards Dublin. We also have the UK getting control of the English Channel and making a small landing where D-Day took place. Now, France sees this and obviously panics because the UK is now on mainland Europe and has a foothold over the continent. Back in Greece, Greece finally surrenders to Turkey. So now the US is completely done with Canada, they're probably going to be sending their troops over to France and helping out France against the UK. If they could knock out the UK, then pretty much every other country except maybe Turkey, India, and Pakistan would probably surrender. So US troops start to arrive in France, although having a little bit of trouble with the Portuguese Navy, they do make a landing in France and start to head north towards the British occupied north. France and its allies manage to kick the UK out of the continent, and the navy of the allies starts to form in the English Channel, this time with supremacy. Back over in Ireland, we have the capturing of Dublin, but Ireland does not surrender, even though the UK has taken back Northern Ireland and has pushed further into Irish territory. Back over in the Indian subcontinent, we have gains on both sides, with India making a large play into mainland Pakistan, while Pakistan has made a large play on northern India. Now, the capital of Pakistan is relatively right there, so if India was able to take back the northern areas, they'd most likely be able to push across and capture Islamabad. So Indian troops in the south start to fall back from their push into Pakistan, and they start to focus up north here in northern India. A reinvasion is made, and India gets a majority of their land back. Back over in Europe, we have France, Germany, and the USA creating a naval invasion landing in southern England. Now, this is the first time in history for a long time that the UK has ever been invaded successfully, so this isn't really having a great moral on the British citizens, and particularly up north where Scotland is. Scottish citizens and Scottish militias start to pop up, and an overall rebellion is starting to formulate. We also have Britain withdrawing all the troops from Ireland, giving Ireland an advantage in being able to take back all of Ireland. Back over in India, India pushes across and manages to capture Islamabad in a very bloody battle. But at the same time, we also have Pakistan completely capturing all their occupied lands. So, yeah. So I'm not really sure how this war is going to be decided. If I make one side win, then the other side's going to be angry with me, and vice versa, so there's really no winning for me in this scenario. I'm honestly going to go ahead and just leave these two countries alone and let you decide who wins. I'm not going to touch it. I already know there's going to be a bunch of angry comments about it, so let's just go ahead and move on. Remember those Scottish rebellions I mentioned earlier? Well, it turns out they actually got hands, and they take over all of Scotland. So this isn't good for England and Wales, obviously, because now they're fighting a war against themselves and against France and its allies. Speaking of France and its allies, they make gains in southern England, getting closer and closer to London. Now, in real life, France and England are close when it comes to statistics, but France does slightly outweigh the UK, so it kind of makes sense for France to win here. Plus, they have the support of the USA and Germany, so it's really in their favor. Turkey really hasn't been helping out the UK at all. They've really only joined because Greece joined, and other than that, they really aren't of help for the UK. So when it comes to the downfall of England, it is swift, and it happens pretty quickly. And just like that, the UK has been captured by the blue team. With that, we have Portugal leaving the war, as well as Australia and New Zealand. So now we just have the blue team versus Turkey, and Turkey doesn't really see a point in fighting against the blue team, but they don't necessarily want to let go of Greece, so they're going to have to come to a compromise or probably be invaded. Now, since France and Greece are allies, they're not really going to let Turkey take over all of Greece, so they're going to have to think of something else. So when looking at a peace treaty with Turkey, they do get a little bit of land. It's not as much as they wanted, but it's better than being at war with the blue team. They gained the panhandle of Greece and a lot of Mediterranean islands, which is kind of what they wanted. In addition to that, they also gained all of Cyprus. So with that, Turkey and Azerbaijan leave the war, as well as Israel, as they don't really see a point in helping out anymore. And it's pretty obvious what's going to be happening with the UK here. We have Scotland released, we have Wales released, we have a little bit of southern England given to France, and we had the release of Cornwall, which would most likely join Ireland. Speaking of Ireland, they get all of Northern Ireland. And we could possibly see a Celtic Union forming up here in the future. But for now, this is what we're left with in Europe. Over in North America, we have a pretty brutal annexation of Canada here. The US takes the Pacific coast of Canada, along with Ontario, and a little bit of the area over here. I forgot what it's called. New Brunswick, that's what it's called. And we also had the release of Quebec here. So I'm not really sure how this would work with Newfoundland and Labrador, but I'm going to be integrating them into Quebec just because of border gore. It would look pretty weird if Newfoundland and Labrador were still out of it. But with this, we're left with a really weak Canada, like super weak. They've lost all of British Columbia, and they've lost a significant portion of Ontario. So really, their only population areas are over here in southern Ontario. So like right here, that's pretty much all of their population. So I don't think it's too unlikely that we would see the USA annexing all of Canada, since once again, like I've said, they've lost a lot of their important stuff. So maybe a US annexation of all of Canada wouldn't be too unlikely. But this is the world map that we are left with. It is significantly less British, which I'm sure everyone is happy about. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. That really helps me out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.